This conference will now be recorded.
Um, Good evening, everybody. This is Jim Marshall. Today is April the 15th, tax day. Hopefully, all of your taxes are done or almost done. So, uh, the a thing I like to do is bring up one point that was in the reminder, and I found a security glitch, okay, in the VA system, specifically within the Access VA Quick Submit thing. And I found it, and we accidentally, at the time I was uh, refreshing myself on how it works and how it looks and everything else, because that's the thing I would do in the IT world. I was an IT guy for on the bleeding edge of technology for 45 years, or about 35 of the 45, and I found out that I signed on to Access VA. I did everything, and so the thing I am very careful to do is to log out, because if you log in, you should log out, not leave it hanging, hoping that the site that you're on will eventually detect that you haven't done something and then kick you out. So I happened to log off, and so I decided to go over to the www.va.gov. And to my surprise, I went right in. I didn't have to put an ID, a password, nothing. I went straight in, no problem whatsoever. And so all of a sudden, I didn't believe it. So I went back and I signed off again, and I tried it again. And sure enough, it went straight in too. Well, I decided to do it the other way. So I signed on to www.va.gov first, and I logged out of it, and I went over to the Access VA, and Access VA required me to again put in my credentials to be authenticated. So I knew it was something to do with the Access VA website. So I called up the VA, and so about the only number there is happens to be the 1-800-827-1000. I told them, and they're going, "We can't do anything." So the suggestion was I should file an IG complaint, which I did. Mark, do you have a comment here before I go on?
Yes, it's a clerical comment. We did not put out our sponsors for this particular.
Oh, yes.
Well,
Excuse me.
it's just a clerical thing, Jim.
Right, right, right.
I'm not trying to ride the boat here, but it is important
Oh
that
no.
we
I thank you
file our
very
claim.
much for keeping me straight. Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
Thanks, Mark.
the
Thank you.
thing that I need to do, which I was remiss, was to thank the AnCan Foundation, and the sponsor of this is Johnson and Johnson, and I thank them very much for supporting us. And I thank Mark for keeping me straight here. So anyway, so I filed the IG complaint. Now everybody says, well, what's what could be the big deal out of this? Well, the big deal is that, let's say that you were going to use like a computer out of a library, and normally those have then a browser up. And if you were to use the Access VA to submit something from the library and you log out and you happen to walk away, well, guess what? The next person, if they understood what you were doing and they went to the www.va.gov site, they would be right in. and they could get to everything. And now I'm not sure if they could change some stuff within the profile. I don't think they can change the banking information because I believe that has to be done through a form. But what they could do is to fill out the form and upload it, because now you can get back into Access VA no problem. So also, a lot of people at home with their own personal computers do not shut them down after they're done. All they do is they close it, and you are still available, essentially accessible through the internet. And so, as I said, it to me is a security exposure. Now, how soon it gets plugged, I have no idea. I haven't tested it lately to find out. So the bottom line, if you are going to be safe, is once you're done, terminate and with the browser, because if you do that, it will sever your connection. It will be detected on the other end, and they will kick you out. So anyway, that was just something. Henry Holiday. Henry, how are you, sir?
Great.
I take it you are going to bring up something tonight, because that's how come you're here, right?
Well, I
Or
wasn't prepared to, but
well, okay, we can
I
just
did my. I'll just say this:
okay.
it's a pleasure to be here with you, panel of very distinguished gentlemen and maybe a lady.
Well, actually, the
I
lady
know
is a
that
picture of a doctor. That is Joel's
exactly.
doctor. How would you like to have that for a doctor? Whew. It
Not
would.
not in close proximity to the one that I already had, but
Oh,
I'll
okay.
just be brief and say thanks for waiting
Okay.
for me. I had to be recycled in basic training. So no, that's a joke.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay. No
my
problem
most
at all.
distinguished military performance was perhaps the summer of 1964, Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
The film Goldfingers. We
Oh, okay.
received
Anyway, hold on here. Hold on. At the time we get to you, there is one other new person, and the new people get priority. Okay. So, uh, the the first one up is Henry. I know you're new, and I bumped into you over at the DC Arts Commission dedication of this quilt, a veteran's quilt that is going to be sent to the National Veterans Art Museum in Chicago. And here we were attending the presentation of it to turn it over from some gals who were NASA engineers in the 1970s. And the thing they did at that time, because of the stress, they formed a quilting group. And the quilting group kind of just continued on. They all retired, and they just kept on making quilts, and they started to make quilts for veterans. And then about last year, they happened to get this idea to do this quilt, which is about 14 by 12, and to incorporate in it all material that's from old military uniforms. And that's how come I got involved, because of I volunteer, okay, at a thrift store, and we a military thrift store. And so I gave them all kinds of ACUs, ABUs, BDUs, OCPs, all of the different kind of stuff, and also all of the patches and the rank insignias I had collected over about 7 years. And so and they did this fantastic job, okay, on the quilt. So anyway, Henry,
Yes,
you
sir.
are 90% now, and I looked at what you have. I got a question for you. I
Yes,
think
sir.
you said that you were turned down for prostate cancer. Is that true?
Well, I was, but they, on my last exam, they went ahead and gave me uh, prostate cancer with 0%.
Okay, but how do they give you prostate cancer with 0? Either you got it or you don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I do have it, but with 0%.
So
They,
that
they
must,
service connected it with 0%.
right. Okay. Okay. So in other words, you have no urinary incontinence problems at all.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay. Okay. So you do. Okay. In general, just just because you've got it, no, they don't give it to uh in general, in the prostate cancer, you are 100% during the time you're treated if you file at the appropriate time, but then eventually they will downgrade you. And the downgrade is based upon residual effects. Okay.
Right.
So, offhand, what do you think your residuals are like? How many times do you get up in the middle of the night to pee? Because that
Two to three times.
2 to 3 times, okay? And how many pads do you think you go through in a day? Worst case,
Uh, 4 or 5.
okay. Now, on the 2 to 3, the thing that they do within the C and P exam, of which they don't generally brief you on this, you just stroll in there and all of a sudden they hit you with, how many times do you get up in the middle of the night to pee? And you go, say what?
Yeah.
And there's no guidance as to, is this like over a week? Should it be over 2 weeks? Should it be over a month? Should it be average number? Should it be best case, worst case, etc.? So personally speaking, the way that I suggest, and this is just me, it
Hmm.
should, I believe you should always get paid for worst case. And I'd say worst case in a month because you can have 29 days that you're 1, 2 times, but then that one night when you're up 4, 5, 6 times because that's it. So, what do you think a worst case is in a month?
Probably 5.
Okay.
Yeah, worst
And
case.
how many times a month do you think that that might happen? 1 or 2?
Probably 5 or 6 times a month.
Okay. Yeah. So, uh, now in the thing in the 3 to 4 is rated at 30%. No, it's rated at 20%. They changed the ratings. Now they're 10, 20, 30, and I think they took out the 40, but I would have to check that. Okay, well, with you being 90%, and in fact, I think I loaded yours up and you're 91.9. I think I put it into the calculator. So even if you got, let's say, a 30%, you're not going to get up to 95. So what else is there in general?
Um,
Anything else?
well, I've been turned down for knee problems. I injured my knees in service, but every time I've gone put a claim in for it, I get shut down for that. I get
Okay.
knee injections all the time at the VA.
So in the knees, how did you explain it? In other words, did you tell them, give them your war story about you jumped off of a tank, that you shouldn't, and, or what?
Well, no, I gave them the story of I was an athlete when I was in service, so I played ball,
Oh,
football, I
you
played
played
basketball.
baseball. Oh,
No, football and basketball. So
so
I injured both
no wonder
knees.
that.
Yeah, I was a pretty tough Marine at the time, 19 years old. So
Okay,
I
but
played hard.
outside of the football, weren't Marines out, in the field training, jumping over logs and all that good stuff
All the time, all the time. I did a
all the
lot of
time?
training.
Well, that's the story that might be a little more appropriate to
Right.
use.
Okay.
So you should probably start thinking about that. Okay.
Okay.
And then uh, the knees, because if you could get like one at 30, another at 20, upgrade one to a 10 to get you up to 95, you could be 100.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So we will have to work on that. Okay.
All
Colonel
right.
Boykin.
Yes, I was just going to ask Henry if while you was doing all that stuff in the Marines, is it any of this documented about your knee
Yeah.
issues?
Yeah. I got medical records to, show injuries and stuff like that that I had when I was in.
Okay. Now, at the time that you filed the claim, did you as a part of the claim include the appropriate medical record, or did you just say it's over there in those records someplace?
Well, I actually didn't file it myself. At the time, I was working with another organization,
Right.
and they presented it with my medical records that I had at the time.
Ah,
So,
so probably what they did was to have you complete a form that allowed
right.
the VA to go get the medical records. And yeah, because the adjudicator really doesn't have that much time to try to find all that stuff. And since you didn't present it, then eventually they just give up, which I can understand that because a claims processor has to do a certain number of claims in a day, and there's only so much time. So the thing I want to task you, now, all good military people kept every piece of paper that the military gave them, right?
That's right.
Including medical records. I want you to go into those and find some of those, one or two where you were treated for the knee, okay? And the
All right.
thing we'll do is to put together a supplemental claim for the
Okay.
knees. And then after that, once the claim is in, then we'll sit down and look at the way the C&P exam's going to be done, because they don't really tell you, but there is a way to find out how it's going to be done and what they're going to test you on, and also understand what you should do and what you should not do. Colonel Boykin.
I was also going to ask Henry. I'm sorry, Jim, for keeping
No,
jumping
no,
in,
no,
but
fine. Oh, good.
I was going to ask, were you active duty Marines or were you Guard or Reserve?
No, I was active duty for four
Okay.
years.
Okay, because it's my understanding, Captain Jim may know differently, but it's my understanding, even if you was, like you said, the injury resulted while you were on active duty, but you was playing in recreational sports as part of of an organized team, that is line of duty. And so therefore, it doesn't really matter whether you heard it playing in intramural sports or you heard it in a pickup game after work one day, or you heard it because you was out in the field.
Right. That's true, because that could be classed as part of your PT, physical training. Okay, great. Okay, well, you've got some homework to do, and then I will also look at the other things to see if it could be just the idea that it should be a supplemental claim, or would it be just the fact that you need another C and P exam for something that could update you. Now, out of the prostate cancer, you didn't get the loss of use of creative organ because you probably did not understand that, right? In other words,
That's right.
in other words, we can't do it anymore. And the VA has determined our value in the bedroom equated to money, $136.06 a month. So that's something that we could put in, because they did accept prostate cancer as service connected, even though it's zero. So, and I take it you had surgery. Is that
Yes,
true?
sir.
Yeah.
Robotic surgery.
Well, then, hey, you got loss of use of creative organ, $136.06. That's a new claim. And in fact, I've got those almost canned that can be submitted and tweaked. Okay.
All right.
Here, let me see. Before we do that, let me, Colonel Boykin, I'm going to make you a organizer, because if I get bounced off and I'm the only one, everything goes too. But if I get bounced off, you will survive.
Gotcha.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, Henry, let's see, any more questions or?
None that I can think of right now. You know, I'm kind of new with the Zoom thing. Don't really know a lot about computers. My wife kind of showed me how to get on this, so you know, I'm old school.
Well, you got on good, because this is the software of choice back in like 2015, and it's just sort of hung on. Okay.
That's great.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, Henry Holloway.
Yes, sir.
I didn't review your history, so give us a brief view. Were you Army?
Yes, sir.
Were you Vietnam?
Germany.
Huh?
No, Germany.
Germany. And I take it you were not a lifer, or did you only serve the 2 years as a draftee, or 4 years?
3 years.
3 years, okay. And are you currently VA disabled today?
10%.
10%. And what do you got?
10% is for the left inguinal hernia.
Ooh. I know what those are, because I had a 2-bagger, left and right, which was.
I've had 5, 6.
Oh, yeah?
3 left, 1 right, 2 abdominal, and
Right. Holy.
the navel.
So did you only apply for the left one, but you never applied for the right one?
I've applied for the whole package, all 6.
And they only gave you the left one?
Well, I've had the left uh, compensation for almost 30 years
Okay, so that's the one you got back within
in
the
the
military.
military.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting, because I never applied for mine, but I may think about that. So anyway, okay, well, uh, what other health issues have you not applied for?
Prostate cancer and Hep
Ooh,
C.
wait a minute. Prostate cancer and what?
Hep C.
Hepatitis, Hep C? Ooh,
Yes.
okay.
Hepatitis C.
And just out of curiosity, where did you do your basic training?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Oh, bingo. You hit the lottery there, because Fort Knox is an EPA declared Superfund toxic waste site that is being cleaned up. And it's being cleaned up by a chemical called TCE, trichloroethylene. And it turns out trichloroethylene is a known cause of prostate cancer, because I have the reports. And I've got the EPA cleanup report for NOx, and I've got the service connection between TCE and prostate cancer. In fact, I just got through helping a guy. He was a draftee, 1972, Fort Knox, um, basic AIT, heading to Vietnam. At the end of the NAM, or at the time he started clerk school, they diverted him and went to Germany. So he came to Fort Myer with a new car, attempting to figure out how to ship it to Germany. And the sergeant major looked at his records and found that he had completed a 2-month clerk school in 2 weeks. And he said, I need you here. You're not going to go to Germany. And he stayed here. So, okay, well, then we can work on that one, because I already have his claim is already in, and yours should probably mirror that. Uh, just out of curiosity, do you have a intent to file active?
Yes.
When did you declare that offhand?
January of this year.
Ah,
Late
so
January, early February.
okay, so intent is not a problem. Hey, I don't see any problem with getting yours up and thing. And and at home, I take it, are you on a cell phone or are you on an iPad?
I'm on a cell phone.
Okay, do you have a computer at your disposal?
Yes. Laptop.
Okay, and I take it it's a Windows or a Mac?
Hewlett Packard.
Windows. And do you have a printer and a scanner?
I can send it to my lady's printer. So yes.
Okay, so
This
you do have the ability to scan in things if you have to.
I should. Yes.
Okay, if you don't, I do, but it's
No
just that
problem.
I like to ask, because ultimately, just for everybody's um knowledge, the thing, I am a VSO in training, but I don't want to be a real VSO that does everything for you. I want to train you how to do all the stuff that you need to do, and then I will teach you how to then file your own claim, because ultimately you may have to converse with the VA, and it's a lot easier if you can do it and understand how to do it electronically. So anyway, okay, great. The Hep C, okay. You were at Fort Knox for what? Basic training? Did you do AIT there too?
Yes, I was there 8 months. I volunteered for Vietnam. At the time, I was told that only E4s and above, and I was an E2.
Oh, okay. So
they sent me to Germany.
okay, so you did the basic for 2 months, AIT for 2 months, and then weeds and seeds for 4, or what? No.
For
I'm
4 months, yeah, from February until October of '64.
okay.
8 months.
And so you just hung around there and did KP or
Infantry, whatever. I
oh,
was a
okay,
grunt.
infantry type stuff.
I
Okay,
was a
okay,
grunt.
fine. Okay, so you were on 8 months there. What years offhand?
February 17, 1964 to October
Ooh,
20, 1964. 8 months, approximately.
1964. Okay, good. Okay, well, okay, I think we can help you out too. And now, the Hep C, I haven't ever run across that one yet, so I will have to do some research upon what can cause. So from Fort Knox, you headed to Germany, and then you stayed over there for your entire time?
Yes, 27 months.
Or, okay, 27 months in Germany. And then I take it you came back and you were discharged, right?
Yes,
Where were you discharged? Fort
Fort
Knox?
Hamilton, Fort
Fort,
Hamilton, Brooklyn, New York.
and so just out of curiosity, how long did that take? A couple days or a month or what? In general,
Well,
a
a
week?
couple of days.
Oh, okay.
I had a issue with a tooth, and they arranged for me to have that taken care of at
Okay.
Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Oh, okay. 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 Well, here, yeah, let me see. Okay, because the thing I'm trying to figure out is for the Hep C, what's the service connection for it, if there is any, that that can be assertive. So, okay, fine. Okay, do you have any questions offhand? Oh, where are you at? Are you in Virginia, Maryland, or DC?
Maryland, Capitol Heights, Maryland. Yeah.
Okay, just out of curiosity that you're local here. Okay, great. I've got some things, so I'll be back in touch with you
May I
probably
say
next.
one
What?
final thing?
Oh, sure, sure. Ask anything.
I have a serious sleep problem.
Oh, okay.
I've been on trazodone, mirtazapine, PTSD.
Oh, okay.
I, I've had anxiety. stress, and I didn't feel that I could adequately have my issues addressed with their psychiatry or mental health people. But I've had
Okay.
near crises where I had to go into the emergency.
Okay.
Uh, my my elder sister's retired social worker from the Cleveland, Ohio VA
Uh-huh.
for many years, and she said that she was aware of certain emotional conditions that were similar to combat trauma, but without the physical, the actually being there.
Right.
I can't I can't express that to anybody. I feel not only am I reluctant, I can't understand it.
Well, that's why we need to get you someplace. And in fact, there is starting up um, a veterans speaking freely group. I don't have the information on it, but I think it's supposed to start next week. And I think it's going to be run uh, by Dr. John Antonucci, who is a retired VA psychiatrist, and that's what he did. So I will find out about that and see what the story is. And that might be a good group to start. But and another thing that we should probably do is to file for the PTSD, okay? Because PTSD can be anywhere. I've seen guys get 40%, 50%, 70%. So if it's then amenable to you, you might get paid for it. You earned it, I think. Okay, and how does that sound? We need to address it somehow.
Well, I blame myself because I worked in the VA system in New
Oh,
York, and
oh, okay.
I would not use the healthcare. It took me 30 years before I enrolled in VA healthcare.
Okay,
But
well,
that was my fault. I didn't. I just
that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, I didn't either until about a year ago. You can use private health care if you have it. But Mark has a comment. Mark?
Henry, I suffer. Well, I'm a two-time Vietnam vet. Um, I suffer from PTSD, and mine's not related from Vietnam. Mine's related with working in federal prisons, and um, it took me a while for them to figure it out, and and it's in my record now. Um, it's no secret when I go in that the nurses and the doctors see it. Um, PTSD is PTSD. It doesn't matter where you got it from, 7-Eleven or Vietnam or Germany. It is what it is. And um, you have to allow the Veterans Administration has wonderful or programs now for service members with PTSD. I've gone through a couple programs. Um, one one program I couldn't stand it, and I made it perfectly clear that I was unhappy with it. And the individual that was running that particular session no longer works for the Veterans Administration um, because that's how much they depend on it. I raised Cain basically because I couldn't believe how I was being treated, um, and so uh, there's good PTSD counselors out there. I have a psychiatrist who I see. She handles me with kid gloves. Um, we enjoy each other, and anytime I need to see her, I just push the button and say, "Hey, I need to see you." And it's not first come first serve. It's once they know your issues and what you're struggling with, um, they're more than glad to talk to you and be with you. That I've found, but mine's not service connected. But yeah, it's on your record, and they definitely change their attitude when they see that. So I just wanted to let you know. Sometimes it's not service connected, but if you need the help, buddy, you need the help, and you need to ask for it.
Right. Before I go to Colonel, the reason why he is getting that as not service connected is, and he's getting it free because he is 50% or more disabled. And once you are actually 45, rounded up to 50, then all of your health care is no charge. And they will handle anything and everything that you do have. So, Colonel,
I was going to just echo everything that you and Mark have just said about that. But the other thing I wanted to just add a little bit more light onto the veterans speaking freely. It is going to be next Tuesday at 8 p.m. in this exact same room. So you already have the link and you already know how to get
oh,
here.
okay.
So next Tuesday, starting on April 22nd. The other thing is I was going to say is that Bill Franklin is going to be the lead moderator,
Oh,
who is
okay.
the AnCan president. And then I've been tapped as his backup co-moderator, sort of like. And then, as Captain Jim said, we're going to have Don, Captain Dr. John Anatucci on as well, just to kind of give us when we get into heavy psychological issues, since he was a VA doctor, to help deal with that. So I think we're going to have a pretty good team minus me in that
But
group.
but it's not going to be recorded either. So
No, it's
that's
not going to
that's
be recorded. No, it
No,
will not be
correct.
recorded. So guys will be
Correct.
able to speak. That's why it's called speaking freely.
Correct.
right. Okay. And it's bringing up anything but and with the VA, because the
Right.
VA
We won't be.
talked about
Yeah,
here and the
exactly. We won't be
military and
talking
all of that
about.
stuff. But this is all of this is more of your psychological issues and all of that stuff. So we try to keep those two separate. Okay, I do the healthcare and the benefits. I'll do military retirement, all the various flavors of it, and how everything interacts with each other, even federal civilian retirement and healthcare, because I've got that. So I thank you very much, Colonel. Okay, Henry, glad you're here, guy. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And we'll do everything we can to get what you've earned, and you have earned it. Okay, oops, let's see here. Let's go. Hank, I think you had a question.
Yeah, this is just a real quickie. several cycles ago, probably back in February, one of the members of this group, and I was mistakenly thinking it was Mark. So if we have another member from the group from West Virginia, that's what I was keying on. Served on the Midway, and he was looking for some records about where the ship was. So offline, I went to Navy archives and I got all the command history profiles of the Midway across the Vietnam period, which I want to share with him, but I don't remember who it is, so I can't do that. So if anyone knows who it is, I got the files. I just need to get them to the right person.
Butch from West Virginia.
Butch. Okay, so how do
Speaking about Butch, caller 01, is this Butch? Caller 01, would you like to identify yourself? If you don't, that's okay. No problem. Because Butch generally, if he comes in, he calls in. Okay, so
Jim, do you have contact information for him?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I got Butch's, and in fact, I would like that. Now,
Right.
in Butch's case, he got it service connected through another way. He got it through some of the toxic materials and everything else that was used essentially on the Midway. So he got it all service connected and everything else. But I would like to also have that too, to add into my thing, just in case I happen to bump into another person.
Yeah, I've worked with Navy Archives before, so I just reached out to them and they pulled all the command history files for me.
Wow.
I have your email address, Jim. I'll pass them to you.
Okay.
It's a single. The way they did this was they packaged it in a single link. So I'll pass that link to you. And then when you open that up, it shows year by year by year. And when you click on a particular year, it has the full report of what the ship was doing that year. So it should help them out.
Now, the deal was there was the difference between the Whitewater Navy and the Brownwater Navy. And if you came within 12 nautical miles.
Right. That's what he was trying to establish, was whether or not that ever happened with Midway.
And did you actually try to find that, or did you?
No, because I don't know what year he was talking about, so I wasn't going through every by year. But he knows the years he was on board, so he can just open up those particular files and go from there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll forward that to you, and maybe it'll help him out.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Hank.
Sure thing.
That'll be great. Excuse me here.
Also on the email I'll forward you, you'll now know all of my inside scoop people at Navy Archives.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, it's always good. I was Air Force, so hey, I tried to join the Navy first. I gave them their chance. They were full. Come back in a year. This was 1967. So
see, Colonel, that's why we got to keep Hank on the line, because I don't need all that information. We can always say, I don't know, just send it to Hank and see what Hank can do.
Sure.
Well, that's right. I was sitting here thinking I wasn't good enough for the Navy either.
Okay, Joel.
I don't know what to say about that.
Okay, Joel. You said that you had a comment or something?
I have a question, and then you wanted me to comment on the color guard. And I'm not talking about a military color guard, I'm talking about the test. First of all, the question is, I reported last time we met that after 14 years, the VA finally sent me a letter saying I was fully and completely disabled, 100%.
Permanent and total. Permanent and P&T.
Right. And so my question is now, I know I have a tax benefit to start with for, I guess, state tax for Virginia, or for real estate, I guess.
Well, it isn't Virginia. It will be your county. Which county are you in? Are you in Fairfax?
Yeah, Fairfax.
All that you have to do is to take that VA determination that says 100% permanent and total, go down to the tax office, and they will have you sign some forms, and you will be exempt from property taxes. And then also, like Alexandria has a personal property tax on cars.
Right.
So you will also get the exemption for one automobile, personal
Okay.
property tax.
So, and the county will handle all that
Yes.
after you turn in your form.
Well,
Okay.
actually, you can do it right there, essentially at the tax office.
Okay.
They have the forms. Now, uh, if I remember correctly, you are a Vietnam vet, right?
Right.
Okay, so what you might want to consider is, and I don't know how much you'd get out of this, but converting your Army check to tax-free money through a thing called combat-related service compensation, because prostate cancer is considered to be a combat-related injury. Or, yes.
I thought you needed more than like 150% to do that.
No,
No.
100% is fine, and a disability, which is um, your prostate cancer, like I did. Okay, I did the same thing. And what will happen, it's a very simple thing. I wrote a paper on it, and I have the form. All that you do is to fill out the DD 2860 form. Okay, it's a DOD form. Uh, include a DD 214, retirement orders, and your VA determination statement
Right.
that says you're 100% permanent and total for the prostate cancer, and you send it to the Army. And I forget which base it is. I think it used to be Fort Benning, which is now Fort whatever it is. Okay, and what they'll do is to make the determination. They will figure out what is going to be your combat related service compensation, and they know what your concurrent retirement disability pension is, and they will by default pick the higher of the two amounts. They could be equal or they could be different. And like what happened to me was the concurrent retirement disability pension was a few dollars more than the CRSC, so they picked by default the CRDP, which is taxed. And I got the letter, and they said, now, if you disagree with this, which I did, fill out this form and send it back. So I did, which I signed the form, which legally said, because by law, they have to pay us a military pension. That's by law. There's no questions asked. But the form said, I don't want the Air Force pension. You don't have to send it to me because I want the CRSC tax-free money. And that's been occurring every year now since I put in for it in 2018, I think it was. And now, with the caveat, CRSC comes from a trust fund, which has to be funded every year. And if it's not funded, then automatically we will revert back to the CRDP amount. So it's something to put in and figure out how much you would get. And if it's close to each other and the taxes, it's totally tax-free, plus one side benefit of it, it's not reported to the IRS. So
Oh,
it's not a part of your gross
yeah.
income, which determines Medicare premiums. So that's an advantage. And so you
So what
want,
else? What else besides that and the county tax collector should I be paying attention to? Or
well, out of it all, at the time that you were declared 100% permanent and total, depending upon what other disabilities you may have, uh, then there's the option, or depend if you've got other ones at certain levels, you could be entitled to special monthly compensation, which I have, which is an extra $546 a month for SMC. So, like, just because a person is 100% doesn't necessarily mean that if they get something that they might not think if they took the time they could get more than 100%. And as I said, there are some rules. So if you'll send me a list of what you've got now, everything, okay, the 100% for that, I don't know what else. I will look at maybe there is a way to get you up to collect the SMC.
okay, very good. We'll have to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, let me give you a comment about the new color guard test. Now, I don't know how
Oh,
long
okay.
it's been that way, but I was surprised it was pretty efficient. My doctor ordered it. I got a copy of the lab order, and all of a sudden, a couple of days later, I get a call from some company who administers this. So they said, well, we just sent it to you. You'll get it in the mail. So for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, this is a test for colon cancer, of course, and my doctor thinks I have it, even though I never known that I've had it. So the first thing she's doing is giving me a color guard test, color guard test, I should say, and the other one um, is that I'm going to have another colonoscopy, even though I've had 3 in my lifetime. I'm going to get another one every year now, and I'm going to Houston at the end of the month to get that done. But so I get it in the mail, and they say, okay, you got to send this in a box, and you say you got to send this within a day or 2 back to us. So I said, okay. So I opened the box, and the instructions were quite clear. Actually, there were a lot of instructions, but they were quite clear, step by step, what to do. And basically, they give you this plastic bowl, and there's a lip on it, and you put it in this holder that they give you. You put it on underneath your toilet seat, and then you can adjust it. So they don't want you to urinate in it. They just want you to have a bowel movement in it. And so you have a bowel movement, and the urine goes outside of the bowl, and then you take the bowel movement off. You seal it with a cap that comes with it, obviously. And before you do that, there's a bottle of a preservative or something that's going to preserve the sample. So you pour that bottle in, throw the bottle away, then you seal it. Then that goes into a box, same box again, and you have a couple of labels to put on. Oh, then you have a little vial also, and you unscrew the vial. You make sure the threads of the screw are filled with your bowel movement, and then you screw it back in this little vial, and you send the vial and the big bowl back and put in the box, and then there's an automatic seal on the box. Close the box down, and you take it to UPS, and it's paid for, and it goes back to the company. So it's
Wow.
all very efficient, very well thought of. I'm sure there was a lot of trial and error with it, but everything is automatic, and you just peel off there's a green tab. You pull on the green tab, your address label comes off, and their address label, return address label, is underneath, and so it's all
Wow.
very well engineered. And so that's the new Cologuard test.
Right.
Um, so that's so I don't know what the results are going to be, but we'll let you know once the results come back.
Okay, interesting. It isn't really a veteran issue, but veterans will probably, hopefully, get this new test where you before had to search around in the pile to get
Right.
a good sample and scoop it out and do it. Now you send them the whole thing
The whole file.
and
Yeah.
they pay for it. Hey, what a deal. I like that idea. Okay, great. Okay, Joel, and anything else?
No, that's all I had. Appreciate it, Jim.
Yeah, now the thing that I want to do too is I want to look at, well, it's a preemptive thing to see if you've got the colon cancer. Okay, are you thinking about applying for it? Because it would probably be relatively easy to do.
I haven't even thought that far. I'm
Okay,
more
well,
interested if I have it or not.
right. Well, that's that's the thing I did for the last 12 years of think of worst case and what I had to do. So if it didn't happen, I was happy, but if it did, I was prepared.
Yeah,
Because
as a matter of fact,
if, let's just say that you do have it, hopefully you don't, but let's just pretend here, worst case scenario is that you would file for that, and I think it would be another 100%, which would automatically get you SMC during the time that you were being treated for it. So because you've got one that's 100 and then a second one which is 100, that is automatic SMC. Well, SMC subsection S, you are already getting the subsection K for loss of use of creative organ. Those are the two SMCs that we can get anywhere from a disability of 0 to 100. Okay, so, okay, that's an interesting thing. I don't think I've looked at colon cancer yet, but that'll be an interesting homework assignment for me to do.
it was either one of the two Henrys that relayed something tonight about hernias, and I also have 6 hernias. I had 4 hernia repairs, and I also have a hernia of the navel and the abdomen, just like
Wow.
Henry did. So the more I attend these sessions, the more I find out how broken down I am.
No, it's you're worth more money broken down. Of course. Okay, great. Okay, anything else, Joe?
Oh, that's it. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, Larry, I think you had a question or something, a comment?
Oh yeah, I just got a notice this morning. This hasn't really anything to do with veterans per se, but there's a
Okay.
veteran prostate cancer, and I do, and I tried to get my regional VA to authorize the use of an off-label uh, androgen deprivation treatment.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
right.
um, that's that is on the horizon. I just got a notice that there's a presentation going to be made this June at the uh, conference that the patch study and the stampede study have come across. And there are hospitals starting to authorize use of estradiol, transdermal, as the primary agent of ADT. And if anyone is interested in that, I can post a phrase to query on the internet to get more information about that. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, now, just for the people that are not attuned to prostate cancer, the thing he's talking about is at the time that you get it, like a number of us on this call have it, the idea is androgen deprivation therapy. Androgen is testosterone. So in the treatment that I started long ago was they took away my testosterone, which is the food for the prostate cancer cells. Well, there is a thinking alternative, and the drugs can be quite expensive. But then there's an idea now that instead of giving the drugs which cost a lot of money, there is estrogen, which is the thing that drives our wives mad at times, and the lack of it and all of that stuff, that if you give it to us, it could also suppress or slow down the prostate cancer cells. So interesting, and it's cheap too. I understand it's like a fraction of the cost, but it really hasn't been studied that much, and it's just starting to be studied, which eventually I would think the VA might jump on this thing because it is so cheap if it pans out. And Larry is a pioneer in this, along with a few others that have gone off label and started to use it anyway before it's approved for use. And it's been quite successful. Is that fair enough statement, Larry?
A couple of corrections.
Okay, good, good. Please do.
Everyone says testosterone feeds the prostate cancer.
Okay,
Not exactly true. It doesn't
okay,
use it as fuel. It uses it as a signaling trigger for the testes to produce testosterone.
okay.
So if you interrupt, there's an axis between the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenal gland. They exchange hormones, and they send a follicle stimulating hormone to the testes saying, produce. And the same thing happens in women. They have a follicle stimulating hormone, same thing, goes to their gonads and says to produce estrogen. Now, estrogen and testosterone are very similar chemically, and they can convert from one to the other. That's called aromatization. But
Oh,
um,
okay.
so when you suppress a man's testosterone, you also suppress his natural estrogens, which can lead to the same kind of osteoporosis that postmenopausal women get. So
Yep.
there's advantages to having estradiol in your system. But backing up to the 1940s, two doctors, Huggins and Hodges, figured out that estrogen suppresses testosterone production. Before that, the way you suppress testosterone production was orchiectomy, castration, the surgical, um, which is pretty radical for most
Oh,
men. They don't want to buy
oh,
into it.
the family
Uh,
jewels are
yeah,
gone. Ooh,
but the unfortunate thing about taking estrogens is it killed about a third of the patients through cardiovascular thrombosis. Same thing killed women on birth control. On birth control, you could lower the dose and still have it effective and not kill so many women. But on men, if you lower the dose, it quit working. Uh, but then they discovered Lupron and other hormones that interrupt that hypothalamus axis
okay,
with side effects.
okay,
Well, in the past 30 years or so, they figured out that transdermal estrogens enter your bloodstream without going through your digestive system, and that's what causes the cardiovascular thrombosis that kills you. So if you take it
okay.
by injection or sublingual or there's any way other than orally, it works. Now I had Orgovix for a couple of months. I
Okay,
had
Larry, wait. Let's,
oh,
that's great for the prostate cancer,
well,
but
but,
it's too
well,
far in into
Yeah.
the weeds
Okay.
for the
Just one more
veterans.
thing.
Okay.
My adverse side effects on Orgovix went away, and my adverse side effects for estrogens is much more tolerable.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, if a person has this issue, then they should probably join a prostate cancer support group where we talk about this a lot. Okay.
Or
Uh,
contact me. I'll put my email address.
yeah, in the chat.
Yes.
Okay. Luther, you joined us late, but that's okay.
Hi, Jim.
You have anything to ask or anything, or
No,
are you
just participating and listening to all the news.
okay? Just here. It's about 9:20. Okay. I don't know if we've run out of subjects at all. Well, Joel, you have your hand up. You're muted still.
I'm getting too tired. I lost the question. Let me think of it. I'll put my hand up again.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Sylvester, I see that you've pointed us anything to contribute here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a wonderful discussions, and I'm listening tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, Joel's back.
I figured it out. It's did I hear on this forum or some other place where the VA will issue Wegovy or Ozempic? Is that a drug the VA dispenses?
That I don't know, but if you were to, oh wait, Larry.
Mine does. I have diabetes type 2, and they're giving me Ozempic.
Is it because you have diabetes, or is that beside the point? Because you have
But
diabetes.
for the diabetes, yeah.
How come they're not giving you Manjaro?
Don't know.
Because Manjaro treats diabetes and also very good for weight loss. Okay. All right.
I did not need weight loss.
Right. Right. Oh, I guess it's a drug that you can take for diabetes. Didn't know that. Okay, so nobody else knows about the VA. I thought I heard it someplace where the reason I'm asking is because I used to be on Manjaro, got allergic to it after 3 months, got taken off of it for about a year and a half now. And when my PCP applied for me to get Wegovy, the Express Scripts kicked it back because it says, well, you're allergic to Manjaro. You might be allergic to this too, so they disapproved it. So, but I thought I heard someplace somebody had gotten it within the VA system.
Well,
Okay,
let's see, if you ask for it in the VA system, be sure to ask for it by the generic name,
okay,
okay? Because they don't like trade names.
right.
So I found out that one. Uh, interesting enough.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, let's see. Anybody else have any questions or anything else to bring up that they would like to talk about before I bring up a few things? Mark? No?
No, I was just going to wish everybody a good Easter. Nice weekend.
That. Well, let's see. Oop, I just had a senior moment. No, okay. Um, the thing I found out is going back to the fact that, I was 100% permanent and total, and then I had a triple bypass, and And I was already collecting SMC, so I was actually maxed out money wise. And so the reason why I still filed for the heart and I got 100% out of it is because if I die of a heart related issue, the wife gets a pension. Well, I also found out that if you are 100% permanent and total for 10 years, when you die, no matter what you die of, the wife gets a pension. So that's some incentive for me. Now I'm just about 8 years into the first P&T to try to get to 10 years, and then I can get hit by a bus and she gets a pension. Joel, you have your hand up again? Or
Yes. Does that mean that if you're temporary for 10 years or more, that counts too? Temporary?
no, it
No.
is permanent and total.
Okay, so it's 10 years as permanent in total. All right, thank you.
It's P&T,
Right.
10 continuous years, which was interesting. Okay, that's one topic. Now, another one is,
Would that apply to a new wife, or does she have to be married to you for the 10 years?
I'm going to put out, I'm going to put out in a next reminder. I went and I researched all that, and so it will be spelled out exactly how it is. But I believe she has to be married for you to 1 or 2 years, I think. And she would then be entitled if you were permanent and total for 10. But I would have to check that. That will be coming out, I think, next month in a reminder because I've been trying to find some very interesting things that would apply to all of us, just in case. Luther, I think you had your hand up first.
Just a question, Jim. Is that 10 years that paid at 100% or 10 years rated at 100%?
Well, if you were rated permanent and total for 10 years, you would have been paid, right? 10 years for, I would think.
I'm paid at 100%, but I'm rated at 90.
Oh. No, I believe, yeah, no, because you're actually 90%, but you're paid at 100. No, you would not be eligible.
Right.
That's how come, I try to get guys to 100, the real 100. Because I think you've got what, TDIU?
Yes.
Yeah, that jacked you up. Total disability, some individual unemployability.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Sylvester.
I was just wondering if that would include children.
Oh, yes, there is, and it could include parents even.
Okay.
I've got that. I will spell all that stuff out. I think I only did the wife and the parents, but I might look to include children just in case. But yes, I think there is a provision, but the children have to be under a certain age,
Yeah.
or I think up to 23 in college.
Yeah.
And then once they turn 24, then it stops. So yes, there is I don't know, an advantage to being 10%, 10 years permanent and total. I don't call that an advantage, but hey, it is what it is. Okay. Any questions on that one? Anybody on community care? using community care? Henry Cruz? Okay, Mark.
Yeah,
Okay, Larry.
yeah,
Okay, great. Well, I had my first community care because I was in my private insurance will not refer me out to a genitourinary medical oncologist, which is an expert in prostate cancer because it's a closed system. And I understand that. So I went to the VA, and at first, the cancer doctor there, oh, I can handle that. You know, of course, I looked at his credentials, and it was not what I considered to be a genitourinary type. So I put all of my problems of what I've got medically and why the drugs say that if you've got these problems, you should not take these drugs. And I put it in writing and I sent it to him, and voila, I got approved for community care. So I go down to the community, to the business office, and he had put it into the system, and I go in there, and the gals are processing the paperwork. So they process the paperwork, and they make a phone call or two, which I believe they were calling Johns Hopkins. That is a good provider around here. And they come over and says, here is your copy of it. You can now call them for the appointment for the prostate cancer doctor. And I do that. And the appointment comes quite quick, a week. I am over there. I'm gone through. Everything's great. And about a month goes by, and all of a sudden I get a bill. $601 you owe. I go, wait a minute. So I call up Johns Hopkins and I talk to them, and finally it straightened out. Okay, it's the VA. And so everything is good. Well, a month goes by and I get the bill again. Well, the long and the short is, if you get approved for community care, what you're supposed to do is, at the time you go to the appointment, is to present the paperwork that the business office gave you to them for them to use as billing. I mistakenly thought the VA had already forwarded that paperwork to the provider. And so another call, I had to scan this stuff in, and I sent it to Johns Hopkins, and I should be good to go from now on. So the long and the short is, the VA only approves this stuff. They give you the paperwork, and then you should give it to a copy of it, because you always keep a copy of everything, as we all did in the military. Keep every friggin' piece of paper the military and the government gives you. And I did everything. So, Joe,
Yes.
question for you, or a
Yeah,
question for
question.
us.
Did you see a GU medical oncologist at John Hopkins, and who
I
was it?
sure did. Dr. Channing Paller,
Ah, okay, got
and
it.
she is good, and her nurse assistant is Zoe, and Channing Paller is the type A1, and Zoe is a calm, cool type B, and they're a great team. So yes, indeed, I did. And the VA's going to pay for it. Then I went back last week to the VA doctor that told me things, and then I told him about the problems I'm having, and he surprised me, said, would you prefer to stay over there and be treated over there versus coming back to the VA to be treated? And I said, That's a great idea. Oh, thank you very much for thinking about that. I think I will. And he said, okay. So it's amazing.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
All because I made the case of why the drugs that I'm currently taking
Did you
all
file for your travel?
out. That's a thing that my next thing there is any time that you go to an appointment and I'm in, you can get paid for the travel to and from. So even though it's only like, I think from my house to the hospital is only like 12 miles or something. It seems longer because I have to cut through DC, District of Columbia, which I call Dodge City, and come back. But I tried to get on to the travel system over the weekend and there was an error. So I am going to file or try to file to learn how to file electronically. And so that's on one of my things to do. But another thing that in the community care aspect, if there isn't a clinic or a hospital within either 28 to 30 miles of you, you can ask for community care. And what you should do is go find the doctor before you ask for it. Otherwise, they will find a doctor for you, which may not be the doctor that you want. So, just a tip, if you try to invoke community care, get your ducks lined up in a row before you ask for it.
Oh,
Rick
okay.
Davis.
Wait a
Oh,
minute.
what?
Before we go,
Okay.
because it's Easter and I see Rick down there, I received my sweatshirt from AnCan and it is the best sweatshirt. I've been wearing it. My wife says you're gonna have to wash it sooner or later. But if you guys haven't been to the store on AnCan and got your latest and greatest, you know, wear, I suggest you get a long sleeve gray AnCan sweatshirt. They are the best. So spend a little
So,
bit of that $136 or whatever. But
so let me just
thanks, Rick,
say,
for my.
oh my
Um,
gosh, thank you,
Rick Henry, hold on a
thank
minute.
you.
Um, the thing I'd like to do is to introduce you because this is Rick Davis, who is the founder of the AnCan Foundation, and he is the one we all thank for thinking up the veteran support group and engineering it and recruiting me and the driving force, and also the one that is the driving force between the veterans speaking freely, which is going to start next Tuesday, I understand.
Yes.
Okay, Rick.
Now, I have to chase up Kiernan, and I will right now because we were supposed to have your picture in the reminder this month. I sent it to her and it didn't get in the reminder, so I'm gonna have to ask her.
Okay, let's do it live.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
In
So,
my Easter bonnet.
oh yeah! Hold on a minute. I gotta take a screenshot. Hold on a minute. I gotta take. Is the screen? That's perfect. I will be okay. I'm gonna send that to Cannon and say, Cannon, where's that picture you were gonna put in? Because I did send it to her. But thank you. Well, we just we have gratitude to Mark, not just because he shows up in all these groups and is a wonderful presence, but he's a sustaining donor. And thank you very much for being
You're
a
welcome.
sustaining donor.
You're welcome. And being here for 10 years and putting up with all you guys.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I just want another just quick story for you, Jim Marshall, because you'll appreciate this. But your story about did you want to get your treatment from Johns Hopkins? And by the way, guys, the Johns Hopkins that Jim uses is in the DC is in DC. It's not the Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. He uses
Right.
Sibley.
Sibley
So
Hospital.
when I got diagnosed, I was a Kaiser patient, and Kaiser said to me in California, and Jim's a Kaiser patient, and Kaiser said to me when they were designing my treatment, well, you can go for 25 sessions. I lived about 8 or 9 miles from the hospital. No, I lived closer. I lived probably about 3 or 4 miles from the hospital, but that wasn't where they were doing the treatment. They were doing the treatment up in Santa Rosa or Petaluma, I can't even remember, which was like a 25, 30-mile drive each way. And I said, I don't want to have to go that far. There's got to be somewhere closer. And they said to me, well, you could go to UCSF if you wanted. And I said, well, that sounds like a good deal to me. And so that's how I finished up getting into UCSF, because at the time they had a contract with UCSF, which they don't have anymore because they've upgraded equipment. This was in 2008. So, but it was the same thing. You could, I don't know, but you could go to UCSF. Yes, please.
Right. That is the University of California at San Francisco,
That's
for
correct.
those not attuned to UCF.
That's right. And I was
UCSF.
lucky enough to get, everybody says, oh, my doctor's world class and the best doctor in the world. And this, as it so happens, I literally did get a world renowned, world class doctor that most people even recognize today. A guy called Mac Roach, who also happens to be Hank Aaron's nephew. So, and get this, he was born and raised in the same town where our Alexa lives.
Oh, okay.
He's from Palestine, Texas.
Oh, okay.
And we found that out more recently. I actually owe Mac, I stay in touch with him and I owe him a letter. So.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see. Do I have any more story? Anybody else has a story about the VA? Well, I will say that you can get things like compression socks out of them. Those are $35 a pair. And so I got 6 pairs out of them. Just send an email to your primary care doc, and if you are supposed to wear them, they can order you from, and the little brown truck pulls up and the box arrives. So I got that. Larry.
I get after several months of buying my own incontinence pads, I found out that they will issue them too.
Oh, wow. And that's where the prostate cancer comes in with the vets. I will say that I know a lot of veterans that are getting it or have got it, prostate cancer. That's the big draw here, around here, especially in the Washington, D.C. area. I would imagine out there too. And another thing I would encourage any of the veterans out there, that if you are diagnosed with it, get a hold of me at veterans@ancan.org, and I can step you through how to file a VA claim, because the VA, and it isn't intentional, will try to downgrade you after your treatment is done within either 3 months or 6 months' time, 3 months for radiation treatment and 6 months for surgery, when your actual treatment should last a minimum of 1 year, which means and during that time, you'll be 100% temporarily disabled, collecting somewhere around either $3,800 or $4,200 a month or more. And if you're on extended treatment, that treatment could last for 2 to 2.5 years, where you are collecting that before they will want to downgrade you based upon the residual effects that you have. Like, how many times do you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom? How many pads, well, we call them pads, diapers, whatever you call them these days. And you can get shortchanged out of tens of thousands of dollars, but not intentionally, because you're not attuned to what is in the treatment plan and how it works. So, and I wrote a paper on it too that explains it all. So, okay, any other topics that anybody would like to talk about?
I just like to just reiterate what Jim mentioned earlier on for everybody. It'll be going out, but we're starting on the 22nd of April, a group called Vets Speaking Freely. For those of you who don't know, we have a series of we call them mental health groups. They're speaking freely groups. They are groups we have one for men only, we have one for women only, and people get together. They're really good groups. We talk about everything and anything. There's some heart-wrenching stuff, but there's a lot of laughs and a lot of fun. Alexa Jet moderates the Women Speaking Freely. The Men Speaking Freely is moderated by Dr. John, who was on here earlier. Rich Jackson and David Muslin, they sort of take it in turns. And a certain person who shall remain unnamed said to us, wouldn't it be nice if we had a Vets Speaking Freely group so that we can talk about stuff that isn't necessarily related to health navigation and benefits, where we can just talk about some of these issues we're living with as vets, which we know a lot about. We hear a lot more about today than we ever did in the past. And so there's a lot of experiences, veterans' experiences, that are built up. You don't have a place to talk about them. And when Alexa came to me and said, can we do something? I said, it's a brilliant idea. Why don't we just call it Vets Speaking Freely? And it'll be open to men and women, but it will only be it'll be largely to talk about your veterans' experiences, although it'll include more, but it won't be to talk about healthcare. It won't be to talk about benefits. And it won't be to talk about treatment if you've got a treatment group. And we're not going to go in there and start talking about prostate cancer treatment or MS treatment or whatever the people have. And so we've got two moderators for this. We've got our own board president, Bill Franklin, who served in the Air Force and now works for MIDWAY as a facility security officer, where he's got a pretty high level of clearance, and he's a terrific guy. He's a wonderful guy. And Colonel Boykin, who has agreed to also to moderate for us. And even though Dr. John is not a peer, we can't have him be a moderator because he's not a peer. But he's going to come in and he's going to listen as well, because as some of you may know, Dr. John has spent most of his or half of his working career at the VA as a a pain and addiction psychiatrist. That's his world. And we're starting next Tuesday. I will not attend because I can't. There's no way I can justify myself as being a peer, and I shouldn't be in that group. But Dr. John will represent me, and I'll hear from Bill, and Bill will attend, and Bill's the board president of AnCan, and so we're very excited about this. It's going to be monthly on the fourth Tuesday, and I hope that you guys will think about attending, and you'll get a great fraternity, sorority, whatever you want to call it, because we're gonna, we hope there'll be some of the ladies will be in there too. In fact, I'm gonna remind Colonel Susan that we're starting this as well. So
Okay.
So thank you.
Okay. I thank you very much, and I'll probably attend because I got some issues with the vets that I happen to deal with, not the bad things, but just some of the frustrations I encounter when I talk to vets.
Yep. And it'll
Because
be
they
in
don't
this
understand.
room. It's on the 22nd. It'll be at the same time as this group, which is 8 o'clock Eastern, and it'll be in this it'll be in the Schmier room, in this room.
Okay.
I think. Let me just confirm that for you 1 second. I just want to be sure because I thought
The colonel says it is. Is it
It
true,
was in the
Colonel?
announcement. As long as our announcement was right, it had this room.
okay, well, let me just check because I just had oh, yes, it's in this room. I'm getting my Tuesdays and my Thursdays mixed up. I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, the pancreas people are in there then. It should be in this room. We wanted to put it in the same room for you so that it would minimize confusion. So it's
Sure.
in this room next Tuesday. And
Okay.
I'll be calling the colonel afterwards and asking him how did it go. Okay?
Okay,
And,
great.
and I hope all of you looked at the reminder. We may not have managed to get the beautiful picture that I'm looking at of Mr. McAllister, but we did get a wonderful picture of Colonel Boykin's daughter in the reminder this month. So
you guys are the best, and I gotta go. I only get to stay up so long. So you guys have a good
okay,
night.
good night. I'm going. I'm leaving.
Okay.
I talk too much. Goodbye.
Okay, folks. I thank you very much. And anything else? Last thing? Anything else? I hope to see you in the first part of May. Oh, summer's almost here. Holy smokes. How time flies. Okay, I thank you very much for attending, and I will see
Happy
you.
Easter.
Happy
Happy
Easter to
Easter.
everybody.